You a genius. Imagine that. Yeah. You put 3 a.m. on the slap and me on the raps. Ain't got it complicated, keep it simple as that. So target on you when you young, rich, and you black. Ain't got a lie to kick it, I'ma get you with facts. Keep it 100, is you feeling me? I know the energy is bumping, what's it finna be? I heard the enemy go coming from my winning streak. And cocaine, a young hyena, word to spit a P. Location's everything. In prime real estate, the city in my backyard. With niggas starting new life just to act hard. One to loan off other people credit, bro, that's tax fraud. Unless the pin code, I'm revoking niggas black cards. And pocket checking too, cause I need all that. For all the little homies trying to get they ball back. And part-time niggas treated like a fallback. If you ain't building, you destroying where your heart at. Like where you from, what's your name, where your bars at? Like where your scars and your stories from the combat. Like redefine printing letters of them contracts. While I'm sagging, if I ain't the realest, what you call that? Small flex, Miles took the lead. No contest, just got their arms stretched when we hit the scene. I used to pray that we fell off, please. A locksmith here to sell y'all keys. Get in with me, Like what's worse, being trapped in a cage or never spreading your wings? You trapped in a maze. And Pop showed me Nas lost tapes back in the days, and that's when he was telling me the rap was a phase. Green Plymouth rapping my waves. We only drove buckets. Cam put me on Wayne inside his gold cutlass.
Imagine that.
Wasn't no AC in the G-Ride. The windows down, mobbing through the east side.
Who's that, Miles? Who you playing right now?
Mass Energy is the newest drop from your boy Miles Lowe. Check that out on all streaming sites or buy the art from the artist, even.biz, bandcamp.com, or mileslowemusic.com. You dig?
Yes, even.biz, Miles Lowe Music, or Bandcamp. Okay, well, I'm loving it. Congrats on that release.
Thank you.
Support the young entrepreneur.
Yeah,
Miles Lowe Music. YouTube?
YouTube.com. Video just dropped last week. Check it out. The Energy video. Some live performance clips I'm posting this week, so you can check out these last couple shows I've been doing back home. Also, tap in with the Do Better show. The Do Better Network is live and in full effect. You did.
The Do Better Network, that's your network.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Congratulations, doing big things. I don't know how you do it all, running all these shows and then dropping albums and doing performances. If you haven't seen a Miles Lowe perform live, I suggest you make it happen.
Or book Miles Lowe. Miles Lowe is taking all bookings for events. This summer's coming up, so let's get outside, y'all.
There you go. I love that. Okay, so yesterday was a terrible, terrible anniversary. It was the anniversary of that massacre at the Tops Market, where this teenager, whose name I'm not going to say because I don't want to make him more famous, a white teenager went into a store with a semi-automatic rifle and shot 13 people. 10 of them died. He was a white supremacist. And this is one of the rare cases where we actually hear mainstream media using the term racist. They like to say racially charged and other things. Even if it's a KKK member hanging a person from a tree, for some reason they just don't like to say the R word, racist. But this is one of those times when they do say it. And I was happy to see all of the commemorations and markations of that day, not because, I want to lean into and wallow in sadness, but because I think it's important not to normalize white supremacist violence. And the FBI has said repeatedly in 2 reports, there might be a third one, I can't remember, but I know at least 2 reports that say from the FBI that our main threat domestically here in the United States, our main security threat, national security threat, is domestic terror. And that domestic terror takes the form of white supremacists, the philosophy of white supremacists, the delusion of white supremacy, terrorism, okay? Like what we saw at Charlottesville, like what we saw at Mother Emanuel, like what we saw at the Tops Market, like what we saw at the U.S. Capitol, which with, the president pardoning all those folks from the January 6th insurrection / coup attempt, there is a real danger of the normalization of this kind of violence. I was happy to see the Tops Market had a special ceremony of remembrance. They've created what they call an honor space at the store in honor of those 10 lives that were taken. And they did a ceremony there for family and members of the victims to remember their loved ones. They had blessings, they had tributes from local and state officials, and they recited the names of those who were murdered. That is important. And then they had a moment of silence at 2:28, and tolling of the bells, the closing hymn, Amazing Grace. I love that so much because it doesn't normalize it. It says this is not okay, and we are going to keep these people in our prayers and remembrance. That market has been open since not too long after the massacre, but there's still a lot of people that are too traumatized to even go in there. And one of the things that I was reading about that I thought was really touching is there is a community-based organization called Fathers in Buffalo that is shopping for people because there's not a lot of other grocery stores. It's one of those food desert areas like many black communities in the urban core of this country. And they are going in and shopping for people who are too traumatized to go back into that market. I know Black Lives Matter Grassroots has been doing work there. One of the things that happened as a result of that terrible, terrible tragedy and the organizing in its aftermath, where Black Lives Matter Grassroots was out there working with the families, working with local community-based organizations to make sure that those families got the support that they needed and the advocacy that they needed. One of the things that came out of that is a Buffalo chapter of Black Lives Matter, which now has 39 chapters, and I think there's a bunch more that are about to come on board, so we'll be close to 50 before the year is out, which is powerful because that means there are now more Black Lives Matter Grassroots chapters than there have ever been, even in 2020 when everyone was out marching. There weren't as many chapters, which means that even though you don't see the people marching on the streets in the big numbers, yeah, they are marching, but not in the huge numbers they were in 2020. And even though we see the erasure of Black history, the attempted erasure, it's not going to work. And the attempted erasure of DEI, it's not going to work either. We're going to find a way in because your businesses and schools are worse without us. They're less profitable without us. They're less exciting, less fun, less interesting, and less effective without us. So it's not going to work. But despite the fact that they're trying to do this, the local organizing quietly continues. And there's more and more chapters of Black Lives Matter Grassroots coming online every single day. That should be a sign of encouragement. It means that no matter what's coming out of the White House, there are people who are ready to protest, and not just protest, move public policy, bills and laws, and stop outrageous infringements, impositions on our rights. Okay, so in the context of this tragic anniversary, I think it's also important to look at what's come out of that community organizing, the forced acknowledgement of the fact that this is a problem. No matter what this administration says, no matter how much it wants to shut down it is shutting down the civil rights enforcement within the Department of Justice. So the response to a tops market, if something like that were to happen today, would be wildly different under this Republican administration. But nevertheless, it's still going to happen on the ground. The people are still holding elected officials and white supremacists, racists accountable. Yeah, it's Wild West out there, but I maintain and I still believe that we win. But that means we have to stay encouraged, stay plugged in. Not every second. You need news fasts, you need fun breaks, but we have to stay encouraged, stay plugged in, and we win. 800-920-1580 is the number to call if you have something you would like to talk about. Attorney Areva Martin is going to join me next hour, and we can get some answers about what's going on with Tory Lane, Diddy, the birthright citizenship case, which is now being heard by the U.S. Supreme Court. And if you think it doesn't have implications for you as a Black American, I got 2 words for you. Dred Scott. So yeah, we got a lot to cover this show today. Whatever else is top of mind for you. They arrested one of the founders of Ben&Jerry's. That and more when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Another checkup? Why are so many people getting new puppies?
Dr. Kim's veterinary office is littered with cuteness.
We are booked solid for weeks, but who can say no to a puppy, right? Oh, who's a good boy? Oh, who's what? Oh,
She needs to find extra vet techs to get those pups some extra love.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now, no more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Yeah, trying to monitor what's happening everywhere. But of course, I especially have my eye on Newark, New Jersey today because my brother, Mayor Raz J. Baraka, will go into federal court, and we're going to find out what they're going to do for the ridiculous trumped-up charge, pun intended, of federal trespassing, and whether they're going to try to jail him for the rest of this election, which feels very unconstitutional and shady. And we will find out today. This is wild. Reverend Sharpton is convening a prayer call for my brother tomorrow on Zoom. from 5 to 5:30. If you want to go to that, it's on Raz J. Baraka on Instagram, I guess. They're praying for the Honorable Mayor Raz J. Baraka and for immigrants. They're praying 5 o'clock tomorrow. And I guess, well, for sure by then we'll know what this federal judge is saying. But one of the things I love is that my brother is busy running the city, so he doesn't have as much posted as one would think. I guess that means I have to do it about the case, and I understand that he's not going to spend all of his time on this case when when he has a city to run. I understand that. I get it. But just, the whole thing makes me very nervous. Very, very, very nervous. Thursday, May 15th. It's actually happening right now at U.S. District Court, 50 Walnut Street in Newark, New Jersey. Woo. Yeah, I just don't like it. But I'll keep you posted. As I get info, I will share it with you. So this new tax bill from the Republicans will add $2.5 trillion to the U.S. deficit, according to legislative analysts. $2.5 trillion over the next 10 years. That's nonpartisan estimates, and budget experts are saying this. And that is creating more controversy. Hopefully it will stop this stupid thing, which is defunding homeless programs, defunding health care for older Americans, Medicaid, defunding the Social Security offices while funding the border fight. It's all about the border. And giving away what I call party favors to rich people, which is the extension of those tax cuts. Yeah, we already have a $36 trillion deficit. And even Speaker Mike Johnson is going to have to face some pushback because they're either going to have to give up some of these tax cuts or cut even more from the poor and the children, the older Americans. This thing is still a work in progress, but they're giving away $3.8 trillion in tax cuts over that same decade to the very wealthy. So the tax cuts are bigger than what they're adding to the deficit. So all you have to do is get rid of the tax cuts and you would be able to decrease the deficit by $1 trillion. So what you're telling us, the American people, is that we need to give the rich $1 trillion and put our country in debt to do so. Wow. That's just... I'm hoping that dumb stuff like this, right? This tax bill and how much it's going to put us further in debt, along with the $400 million free plane. I'm hoping that this is going to push some of these Republicans over the edge. Although I feel like I've been saying that since before the election, and so far it hasn't panned out really well for me. So we'll follow it. We'll keep you posted. But my hopes and dreams on that, I'm not really confident about. Supreme Court was going to be considering birthright citizenship. This is a huge deal. We talked about it on the campaign trail. I think a lot of people did not believe it was really going to happen, but here we are. Supreme Court will hear arguments today as the Trump administration tries to end, the Republican Party tries to end birthright citizenship, meaning that you would no longer be a citizen just because you were born here. I guess they'll come up with that, whatever criteria they want to come up with. And we know that the Trump administration has already said you can tell which immigrants are good and which ones aren't just by looking at them. That's a sort of a paper bag test for immigrants. It is going to, even though it's, according to CNN, it's not officially a ruling on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship. It's going to ask this very conservative, extremist Supreme Court to deny passports and other official documents to babies who were born in this country, but their parents are not citizens. And he's hoping that he gets a green light from the justices to pretty much stop the courts from pausing his policies. In other words, these courts that are able to put a pause on Trump policies until they're ruled on by the Supreme Court, they're trying to stop that so they can do whatever they want while waiting for the Supreme Court to rule on something. So this is really serious. The implications are many, and I'm looking forward to talking with attorney Ariva Martin next hour about that. The 12 kinds of crazy going on with Tory Lanez, the rap artist who was stabbed 14 times in prison, and now all these twists and turns in his case, including a bodyguard singing like a canary. What that's really going to mean to the case, and why does it take someone getting stabbed 14 times for this conversation to happen right now? There's supposed to be peace talks in Turkey about Ukraine right now. Remember Ukraine? Remember Ukraine, the place we send all the billions of dollars to? Remember Ukraine, where Russia aggressively just dissed their sovereignty, just rolled all over their sovereignty and went in there? Well, there's supposed to be peace talks today in Turkey. But President Putin sent some underlings to meet with President Zelensky, and now Zelensky's mad. The Kremlin's saying Putin won't go, and this is not a good sign for the peace that we were supposed to have on day one, according to the current president. But now Trump is kind of covering up for Putin in a way, I think, as he says there'll be no progress towards peace in Ukraine until he meets with Putin. Because I guess to me that's his way of making it seem like I meant to do that. Of course there's no progress. It's all dependent on me and Putin. But you're not the president of Ukraine. I mean, Russia shouldn't they meet with the people they're invading and attacking and trying to take their land and territory? I know you think it's probably Trump Gaza, Trump Ukraine, Trump everything, but shouldn't the sovereign leaders be in those meetings? Unprecedented, unprecedented, unprecedented. There, I said it. I'm getting tired of saying it. One of the founders of Ben&Jerry's ice cream, the Ben guy. There's a Ben and there's a Jerry. This guy's name is Ben Cohen. He was arrested yesterday in Washington, D.C. because they say he allegedly interrupted a Senate committee hearing about our funding for Israel's military. He's a 74-year-old. He was one of the protesters that went into a Senate Health Committee meeting while RFK Jr. was promoting the Trump budget for next year. And protesters were in there shouting and holding up signs. And they arrested the ice cream man. This is what he posted on social media. He said, I said that Congress is paying to bomb poor kids in Gaza and paying for it by kicking poor kids off Medicaid in the U.S. He's also calling on lawmakers to get more aid into Gaza, where there is a lot of people starving as the Netanyahu government continues to blockade aid from getting in there. The food is there. The international will is there. Mr. Cohen says they need to let the food in to those starving children. He was charged with crowding, obstructing, or incommoding the Capitol Police. That's a misdemeanor. He could be facing 90 days in prison and a $500 fine if he's convicted. 6 other people were arrested along with him. for the folks that say nothing's happening and there is no resistance. The resistance is everywhere. I just don't think it's getting reported on the way it used to be. Mainstream media has learned their lesson. Forensic accountant says, if I were Zelensky, I wouldn't go. It feels like a major setup. Right. It is a major setup. Putin doesn't show up. He sends some underlings. And then Trump says, oh, well, it's all up to me and Putin. Like, we're going to talk about you and continue to make deals about you and your country without you even being there. Who would agree to that? But it is what it is. The Environmental Protection Agency, or what's left of it, has announced that they will allow more of those PFAS into the water, into our drinking water. This is something that was restricted under the Biden administration. The PFAS, they call them forever chemicals. I can't pronounce perfluoroalkyls and polyfluoroalkyls substances. These are chemicals that increase the risk of heart disease, cancers, babies being born with low birth rates. And these are also those chemicals that are suspected in possibly changing the DNA of babies. Could lead to changes in the way their gender markers show up. I guess I'm saying that wrong. I know I'm saying it wrong. But they're found in the water. They're found in some of our products, cleaning products, beauty and health products. And they were restricted under the Biden administration. For some reason, the Trump administration wants to bring them back. News, traffic, and sports. Then call me, KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem clashes with House Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman over immigration during a budget hearing, specifically about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, deported by the Trump administration.
Abrego Garcia is in his home country.
What steps have you taken?
If your continued advocacy for him were to...
I'm not advocating for him. I'm advocating for a court order, Madam Secretary.
The Supreme Court ordered his return, but the DOJ is contesting the ruling. A 19-year-old ex-Michigan Army National Guard member was arrested for planning an ISIS-inspired attack on a Michigan military base. He's charged with supporting terrorism and distributing destructive device info, facing up to 20 years per count. And Warner Brothers Discovery is renaming its streaming service back to HBO Max. CEO David Zaslav said they're returning to the brand known for its high-quality media. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL released the full schedule for the 2025 season. The Chargers will play the Kansas City Chiefs in their regular season opener. That game will be Friday night, September 5th in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The Rams will be at home for their regular season opener. They play the Houston Texans on Sunday, September 7th at SoFi. First regular season game for Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter and the Jacksonville Jaguars will be in Jacksonville on Sunday, September 7th against the Carolina Panthers. The Minnesota Timberwolves are the second team to reach the conference finals in the NBA playoffs. Minnesota eliminated Golden State Wednesday night in 5 games. They will play either Denver or Oklahoma City in the Western Conference Finals. Game 6 is in Denver tonight. Indiana will play New York or Boston in the East Finals. Game 6 is Friday night in New York. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to us. We're listening to you, 800-920-1580. If you want to be listened to, I'm happy to do so. Always love to hear from you. Forensic accountant says he's concerned about Zelensky. He may be in grave danger. No Putin, no Trump, beyond fishy. Paul Lee says his country already got the mineral deal they wanted. I haven't read that deal. Does that mean that they can just take the minerals and the land? I don't know, but you're right. It's not a good look. I was talking about those forever chemicals in the water. That's really serious because we don't know how to clean them out of the water. We don't know how to get them out of our bodies. The body doesn't know what to do with them. So why would you want to put more of them in the drinking water, allowing what the EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, the MAGA guy, is calling common sense flexibility in terms of additional time for compliance? Additional time for compliance at the expense of our health, not just our health, but particularly the health of our babies. Insane. And where is RFK, Mr. I take on big pharma, I take on, the corporate polluters? For those of you, because I have some friends that felt like maybe because RFK is an anti-vaxxer, he would support some policies that are good for us in the form of, banning certain chemicals or pushing back, allowing more latitude with vitamins and the like. So where is he right now? Shouldn't he be in Trump's ear saying, these PFAs are a problem from a holistic health standpoint? I wanted to talk a little bit about Rodney Hinton, the dad whose child was killed by law enforcement and then is now accused of striking a deputy's car and killing him. The dad he's pleaded not guilty. His name is Rodney Hinton. He's pleaded not guilty in that case. And there was a GoFundMe for him. And you know how when cops kill kids, there's usually, or black people, there's usually a GoFundMe for the cop. Dereck Chauvin had one. A lot of them have them. They make millions. Just like the lady who called the little 5-year-old the N-word. She's got almost 1 million. She might be up to 1 million by now on these GoFundMe pages. And GoFundMe seems to be fine with it. But they were not fine with a GoFundMe for Rodney Hinton. So there was one that was started and GoFundMe took it down saying it violated their terms of service. I guess because he's an alleged murderer. But so was Dereck Chauvin, and you'd have a problem with that. Anyway, they moved it. It's on something called givesendgo.com/Rodney Hinton's family, GiveSendGo. And people are donating. It's not millions like Dereck Chauvin has. Last time I looked, it was 31,000. There's a contact or a link to it on BLM Grassroots on Instagram, or you can go to the site itself, GiveSendGo. They're trying to raise 50,000. They've got 30. Anyway, they are still looking for support for this guy. And, you know, he's being painted as a criminal and a hero, depending on which side of that divide you're on. And, of course, I don't think it's okay to kill anyone. But I understand why people are supporting this man. Cops murdered his son, his 18-year-old boy. Clearly, he is and was in a lot of agony. And a lot of us are tired of law enforcement murdering our children, our husbands, our boyfriends. In another strange development, there is some woman who filed a lawsuit, and a civil suit on behalf of this guy. And it turns out they don't even know him. According to Hinton's lawyers, she never talked to him. They don't know him. They don't know her. She just took it upon herself to file a civil lawsuit on their behalf. I don't understand how that works, but that's crazy. But in any case, there is okay. There's another one. The GoFundMe was up to 70,000, but they took that one down. GoFundMe took it down. But BLM Grassroots also has an address for him. People are writing to him at the Claremont County Jail in Ohio, where he's being held. And they have instructions for how to write to him. Because some folks are feeling like this man deserves comfort and support after the murder of his son. Of course, he's pleaded not guilty to the charge of killing a cop with his car. Let's go to Larry calling us from D.C. Good morning, Larry.
Hello.
Hi, what's on your mind?
This isn't Dominique DiPrima.
It isn't?
Well, I'm watching the show live.
Oh, well, you might have a little lag. Sometimes there's a little delay. Oh, you're saying you're watching and it doesn't look like me? Or that you don't hear yourself yet?
Well, I'm watching and you're not on the phone with the caller.
Well, you might have a little lag. And don't worry, we'll be on the phone with the caller momentarily. Sometimes there's a lag between the YouTube and you. It's definitely me, babe. Don't worry. Look, you want me to cuss you out and then you'll know for sure it's me? You want me to give you the signature Dominique DiPrima cuss out? And you'll be like, oh, that's her.
Right. Well, listen, you just said take a call from Larry.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say too much. I just wanted to say hello. I'm an East Coast listener.
Okay. Well, are you letting people on the East Coast know about us, telling them to get our app for free on the App Store, the Google Play Store? You know, because we're Black-owned and operated. We don't have huge marketing budget, and we have been saved by people, the hood grapevine, people telling their friends. That's what's making us thrive even in this crazy era that we're in.
Right. I can dig it.
How did you find out about us, Larry?
You popped up on YouTube, and I tuned in. It was 9 a.m., and I had to. The face was calling me.
Okay, go YouTube. YouTube showed us some love that day.
They certainly did, and now I'm hearing the lag. I'm hearing our previous conversation.
Yeah, technology is great, but it's not perfect. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no worries. Yeah, I just wanted to check in and say hello. You're doing a great job over there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that so much. And I love hearing from people wherever you are, from East Coast, West Coast, other countries. Love that. They're saluting you in the chat. I don't know if you've been in on the YouTube. They're in the conversation, in the comments. They're shouting you out. So welcome to the delegation. You are now officially part of the KBLA delegation, Larry.
Thank you.
Yes. Appreciate the love. That's funny. He was going to verify if I was really Dominique. But I don't blame him. We're in some shenanigan times, right? I could be Laura Loomer disguising myself as Dominique. As Dominique DiPrima. But it's not. It's me. And you can do like Larry. You can call 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. If you've got something to say, say it here. We don't censor, and we are not scared. We're unapologetically outspoken, unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see you try no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now, no more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Okay. So the Maryland governor, Wes Moore, signed a bunch of things yesterday, but I did not see reparations yet on that signature list. We're obviously tracking it. We'll talk more about it tomorrow with our Freedman Friday conversation. Jay French will be on, so that should be quite spirited for those of you who've been arguing with him since the last time he came on Instagram. Your chance to keep that convo going. He signed a lot of things, like I said. But what I didn't realize is that in the state of Maryland, if Governor Moore does not sign it, doesn't mean it couldn't pass into law. It could pass into law without his signature. We don't have that option in California, but apparently they do in Maryland. And if that's the case, why would he sign it? Because they're going to pillory him for that. I know he's on the short list for folks that may be considered presidential candidates for Dems in 2028. His star is rising. He's been doing an incredible job there as governor of Maryland, the only sitting black governor at the moment. Hopefully that will change when my brother Raz wins the primary June 10th and then goes on to win in the general election. We'd have two black governors, one of New Jersey, but right now, and one of Maryland. Right now it's only Maryland. And his star is rising in the Democratic Party. He's competent. He's good on the mic. And so perhaps he's being advised not to sign this reparations bill. I wouldn't blame him if he didn't. They will use it to take him down. I thought it was very bold that Kamala Harris said that she did support reparations on the campaign trail, even though she never really got credit for that. People tried to say she didn't, but in fact she did. She introduced that H.R. 40, the version of it in the Senate, when she was a senator. And on the campaign trail, she said she supported study, which is what all H.R. 40 is, which is more than any other Democratic presidential candidate has ever done. And she still hasn't gotten credit for that, so I'm going to say it. In any case, we're tracking it. We'll see if Moore goes ahead and signs this. My prediction is he won't, but I'm hoping that it will still pass into law, because while the city of Baltimore has a commission, the state of Maryland does not. And as Akili pointed out last Freedman Friday, we're now at 100 states, counties, cities with reparations commissions, 100, which is a huge jump over the past few years since the California task force was seated, and it's just another indication of momentum around that particular issue. If you missed any of our shows, including our Freedman Friday series, which is the second hour, our 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every Friday, they are all up on YouTube, and you can go and watch and listen. You can find them wherever you get your podcasts. All my shows are there. Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts. So there is that. Apparently, as the anniversary of the murder of George Floyd approaches, and there will be commemorations, protests, marches, artistic presentations, letter writing campaigns, moments of silence, candlelight vigil, all that is happening all over the country. It's 5 years this year since his murder, so it's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of conversation, a lot going on. But reportedly, I'm reading this on BET, the rumors that the Department of Justice or this MAGA president, the new Confederate Republican Party, may be planning to pardon Dereck Chauvin on the anniversary of George Floyd's death. Apparently, these rumors have gotten enough credibility now that Minnesota state and city officials are preparing for unrest. The tactical alerts are up, and Governor Tim Walz, along with the mayor there, Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, DeWanna Witt, who's the Hennepin County Sheriff, they say they've all been briefed on contingency plans, even though we don't have confirmation that that pardon is going to happen. Officials are saying that because of the unpredictable nature of the political climate, i.e. we have an apparent madman, an alleged madman, how do I say it? An erratic nut in the White House, an alleged erratic nut. I don't want to end up like George Stephanopoulos. Whatever. The erratic nature of this administration, they say political climate, they're really being careful. They won't say because the MAGA new Confederates are completely out of control, they're going to prepare anyway, even though they have not been notified, as far as we know, that this pardon is in the offing. Dereck Chauvin, of course, is the guy that murdered George Floyd on camera as captured by a courageous teenager. And he's currently serving a 21-year federal sentence in a Texas prison. Now, if Trump pardoned him, or the Trump Department of Justice pardoned him, that's a federal sentence. He would still have to serve out his state sentence of 22 years in Minnesota. If this Department of Justice pardoned Dereck Chauvin, he would be transferred to Oak Park Heights Prison. And the Minnesota Department of Corrections says they are standing at the ready to transfer him back to state prison to serve the remainder of that 22-year state sentence. So he's not getting out of jail, even if Trump pardons him. But people are going to be angry, myself included, and you couldn't blame them. That's why Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison has put out a statement saying that Dereck Chauvin still owes Minnesota 22 and a half years, and he's going to do it either in Minnesota or somewhere, but he's not getting out. Okay? It's an important point. It's the reason why they had to take down Fani Willis, because Trump could not pardon himself for those state charges. Of course, the Supreme Court can give him immunity, can be shielded. He can run again for office to try to keep himself out of jail, out of prison. But a federal charge is the only thing that a president has the authority to pardon. He cannot pardon state, county, city charges. Can't do it. So Chauvin is not getting out of prison. He'll just go to a different prison if the feds make this move. Now, Trump has denied it, but they denied a lot of things. They denied that they knew anything about Project 2025, and yet they seem to be following it to the letter right now. There's a community safety commissioner in Minneapolis named Todrick Barnett. He says there's no credible evidence about a pardon. There's no credible evidence that they're expecting widespread protests in Minneapolis. Nevertheless, he's warning that they have overhauled their entire emergency preparedness and emergency management systems since 2020. He's saying they're going to be much more ready than they were in 2020, that they learned lessons from that. And so don't come around here, basically, is the implication. Planning to do anything because we're ready for you. What we do know is that even though so far there's no so-called credible release about a pardon of Dereck Chauvin, we know from Black Lives Matter grassroots and the chapters, the Minneapolis chapters, of which there are two, Black Lives Matter grassroots chapters, along with Michael Brown. That's wrong. Not Michael Brown's foundation. Just the two chapters there in St. Paul, and I can't remember where the other chapter is. The Minneapolis chapters. They had a meeting with a bunch of different community-based organizations because apparently they have what they feel is credible information that this pardon may happen. So they're also, activists on the ground are preparing. But what we do know for sure is that the Department of Justice is likely preparing to end the consent decree over the Minneapolis Police Department, which means that they would no longer be held accountable to the reforms that came out of the protests of 2020, that came out of all of the terrible data that we discovered as a result of investigations stemming from the murder of George Floyd, about the over-policing of black people in that entire area, the way they were using black people, fines and arrests to maintain control and fill coffers like they do in many jurisdictions. However, the city has said that if the Department of Justice petitions to end the consent decree over the Minneapolis Police Department, the city will challenge that ruling, that they will not just fall back and allow the feds to move forward with this Trump agenda, which is zero accountability for all cops, zero criminal, civil, or policy accountability for any of these police departments. That city is saying, no, not on our watch. We're going to try to stop this. But given the erratic political environment, we shall have to wait and see. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Be joined by attorney Ariva Martin when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Homeland Security Chief Kristi Noem clashes with House Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman over immigration during a budget hearing, specifically